What is up, my friends and family, and welcome to another video. And in this one I want to talk to you guys about alcohol, the experiences, the impact, and what I've learned from it being in my life. As human beings, I think one of the most valuable things that we have and that everybody gets is experience. And I think it takes us so long to gather this experience that one of the most valuable things that we can do with our experience is to share it so that other people can have insight on things that they have never experienced themselves. So I'm hoping that by sharing my experience with alcohol, I can give you some good tips and advice, but also keep you away from the mistakes that I and a lot of my friends made while experiencing alcohol at a young age. Okay, so first off, I should start with when I first experienced alcohol, and that was somewhere around 13, 14 years old, freshman year, and I had gone to some like weird little party thing out in the middle of Nowheresville, and we ended up drinking some Captain Morgan. First time ever experiencing it, I was like super scared about it. My family had made a huge deal about it. My parents were definitely not okay with it, and I was so young, I knew it was not okay. It was not gonna be accepted by anybody, so I was just super nervous. So after that first nerve-wracking experience with alcohol, my first time ever even tasting it, I did it more often because I was in high school, and honestly, you can find it anywhere when you're in high school, and I found it to be pretty fun. So I kind of got addicted to it, and I started doing it pretty often. So I was probably drinking Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday. So I was drinking 2 to 3 times a week on the weekends, you know, never doing it on the weekday. And then as I started to get more and more into it, I wanted to do it more often. If you know me, you know I have a very like addictive personality, so things grow on me very quickly. If I enjoy them, if I find something about them that is fun, I usually will do them over and over and over and over and over and over. And it's something I've learned about myself over the years, so I've gotten better at it, knowing that if something's not good for me or if it's destructive, then I stay away from it even if it's fun. But back then I was just a kid, and I was just like, whoa, alcohol, this is new. I was told I'm not supposed to do it, but it's pretty fun. And so I kept doing it and kept doing it. And I got to a certain point that I was drinking even during the weekdays, and I got to a certain point where I was even drinking alcohol in class. I would bring alcohol sometimes in the morning in like coffee, and I put like tequila or vodka in there, and I drink coffee and alcohol in the morning so that I could get like tipsy or whatever through the day, through my first couple classes or whatever. And this wasn't an every single day thing, but I just kind of giving you an example of, I think that's pretty far. I don't think that you should ever be drinking, you know, in your work, school, or any of those daily activities. I don't think that that is ever like a healthy thing that you can get away with or that you're functional with it. It's not cool. And luckily, I was also in the beginning of high school, so school was a little bit easier. It wasn't causing my grades to drop or anything like that. But thinking back now, it was a little bit scary. So I got to a point where I wasn't having fun at parties or kickbacks or hangouts or whatever like that when I was just drinking a little bit. You know, tipsy, how people will get tipsy. I had to get drunk. I had to get like full on drunk. I had to have like, you know, the head movement and all that kind of stuff. Addictive personality. It kind of sucks. It's fun for some things. It's great for like work and things like that, but it works against you on things that you shouldn't be doing, things that are destructive, like drinking a lot of alcohol. So I had gotten to this point where I really needed to get like drunk to be having a lot of fun. And we started doing this thing where we would drink like maybe 5 to 8 shots all at once. Now, this is not safe and it's not good for you by any means, but I would just drink like this huge amount of vodka all at once, that it would get me drunk faster, and I would be more drunk because it was all at once instead of slowly coming up. Now, people always say who you hang out with is who you become. So some of the people that I was hanging out with were making me drink more, and some people I was hanging out with, I was making them drink more. And so this was kind of a bad circle of just having a bunch of bad support systems in place and a bunch of bad, you know, people who were enabling me basically in drinking a bunch of alcohol. And what ended up happening is, thank God, nothing ever happened to me personally. I didn't, you know, get behind the wheel and hit somebody or like get in a fight that left me like, you know, hurt or anything like that. But I had friends who did everything. I had friends who sideswiped cars because they were drinking and driving. I had a friend who fell asleep at the wheel. I had a friend who actually hit somebody and ran, all this while drinking. I had a bunch of friends who would run into stores, steal alcohol, and get out of there. I had friends who had gotten arrested. And one of the worst ones I thought was pretty bad was one of my friends had gotten so drunk that he went to some party he didn't know about or whatever, and he actually got stabbed by a gang. So it's like, alcohol can get you into such bad situations, and I'm not saying that by all means just alcohol is bad, evil, and it's going to make you have all these bad things happen to you, but I'm saying if you let it get out of hand, if you partake in things that are destructive and you don't check yourself, you are going to get into bad situations, and it's not going to be beneficial for you at all, and it could really ruin your life forever. So now I got to a point where I was somewhere around like 15 to 16. I had really gotten into drinking. I was drinking pretty often. I had surrounded myself by friends who also were into the same thing, and I had watched tons and tons of kids my age and multiple years older than me get into all sorts of nefarious situations where they were getting like their licenses taken, they were like on probation, they were on all these different problems and stuff, and it just did not look good to me, and I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. Luckily, right around this time as well, I had started lifting. I think it was about 15 and a half. I had started lifting for bodybuilding because my brother had started lifting. I didn't want to let him get bigger than me, and so I started picking up weights and going to the gym consistently. After a few weeks, I knew I liked bodybuilding a lot, or maybe loved it, or whatever. But after about a month or 2 months, I knew that I not only was passionate about it, I also wanted to compete. I wanted to see where I could take myself. I wanted to see how good I could do. I was always a competitive person. I came from like 13, 14 years of competitive soccer, so I knew how to be competitive. I knew that I wanted to be the best I could be. I couldn't compete in something if I wasn't being my best. And alcohol is something that when you're bodybuilding and trying to go to do competitions and stuff, it adds fat, it keeps you from gaining muscle, it makes your workouts bad. There are 100 reasons I could tell you not to drink when bodybuilding. And for me, I was obsessive. Remember, addictive personality, but bodybuilding gave me more joy than alcohol. Therefore, I was going to abuse bodybuilding more than alcohol. And because alcohol took away from bodybuilding, I took alcohol entirely out. So luckily, over like 2, 3, 4 months of starting to lift, I decided alcohol is completely useless for my goals with bodybuilding. Again, somebody who has a very addictive personality and comes from a very competitive background, it was easy for me to have the mental discipline to just say, no, we're not gonna drink except for 3 to 4 times a year. And for some reason, that was the number I picked. And I stuck to that number for, I'd say 4, 5, 6 years, something like that. Because I'm at 10 years now, and for the first like half, maybe 6 years into it, I didn't have any alcohol. And then in like the last 2 or 3 years, I've allowed myself to be a little bit more loose with that and drink a little bit more, which still is not very much. It's around 6 to 10 times a year. So definitely, most certainly less than once a month. I'm not gonna say that I had alcoholism because I don't wanna take that official label from people who have truly struggled for years and lifetimes with alcoholism. But I did want to tell you guys all of this information so that I can give you my opinions and my experience with alcohol. And that is that it is very destructive. And if you can keep yourself away from alcohol entirely, then that's amazing. But if you can control the amount of alcohol that you decide to partake in, or if you can at least be aware of the dangers that are coming if you start to let yourself get into drinking more and more, I think that you are going to be doing yourself a huge favor. I was so lucky to have developed this passion right at the same time as it was becoming a crucial point of deciding whether I was going to drink more or decide to stop drinking. I was lucky enough to find a passion that caused me not to drink anymore. But I'm afraid of what might have happened if I hadn't found that passion. And for people who don't have that passion, I'm afraid of what will happen if you allow yourself to slowly slip into a lifestyle habit of drinking constantly. Again, I watched a ton of my really good friends have all sorts of bad things happen to them, and that was when we were super young. Nowadays, I'll have people, and when I was growing up too, you know, 19, 20, 21, 22, because of college and everything and drinking lifestyle that is so usual for everyone, I would always have people who were a little bit older than me say, wow, you are so impressive. How do you do it? How are you doing so much stuff? How are you so on point? How are you, able to gain so much muscle? And people would always ask me how I am doing what I'm doing at the age that I'm doing. And I never really thought that I was doing anything too extraordinary. I was just doing the things that I really loved with passion. But what I had realized was that my answer was so often coming back and coming down to, oh, I don't drink. And it would always take a little back and forth in the dialogue until we got to the point that the people around me that were my age were obsessing with drinking, were going out to parties every weekend, or as I got a little older, they're going out to clubs and things like that. And by me not drinking, I was having 2 to 3 extra days on the weekend to work and do extra things, with also no Monday hangover and no Friday need to go like party and go get the alcohol for that night and stuff like that. I had so much more time. Now I talk to my friends, or I talk to people that I haven't talked to in a long time that I used to be friends with, and the stories and the things that I'll hear about with them and alcohol is really, it's sad, to be honest, because either they had something really great going on, or they were just tired of the life that they were living in, and they continued drinking tons of alcohol, and now they're working at some job that they don't really like, they're living in some way that they don't really want to live, and they keep asking, what's the problem? Even though they know that it's alcohol. I think I said it all, but I will say once again, I do not think that alcohol is 100% the most evil thing ever. What I'm more so pointing at is that if you have any sort of an addiction, or if you have any sort of a a habit of doing some sort of substance or drinking or whatever it is that is destructive, be very careful to watch how it develops as an addiction for you, and make sure that you keep it at a recreational level and you don't let it start taking over your life. You don't let it start making you drink all the time and take away from the productive parts of your life, because very quickly a year will go by, 2 years will go by, 5 years will go by, 10 years will go by, and then you'll wonder, why am I not that person I wanted to be? I just gotta stop drinking, but I'm not that person anymore. So there, my friends, is my story of alcohol, from when I first started to how it kind of morphed and developed and evolved into how I stopped it, and basically what it's taught me and the things that I have kind of learned and want to pass on to all of you. I hope that this video gave you some good insight, depending on what age you are. Maybe it made you reflect on some of the things that you've also noticed with alcohol in your life, or maybe if you're a little bit younger, it's a great video for you to kind of see how I dealt with alcohol in my high school and college experience, and how you maybe will change the way that you look at alcohol in your own experience going through high school and college. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Team Beyond the Week, CT.
Lift heavy or die Myron, mother.